Welcome to FD Chaplain Services Incorporated's program, Reaching In, Reaching Out. My name is Mark Goodman. I'm the Executive Director of FD Chaplain Services, and I will be your host for this program, episode number 4, Personhood of the Chaplain, Part 1. So grab a notepad and a pen and a cup of coffee as we begin this study on the personhood of the chaplain. Let's go ahead and get started. Hey everybody, it's good to see you again. Mark Goodman here, Executive Director of FD Chaplain Services, Inc. in sunny Southwest Florida, Estero, Florida. Glad to be with you today. I am wearing a Lehigh Acres shirt today. I represent the Estero Fire Rescue District, South Trail Fire District, San Carlos Park Fire Department, Lehigh Acres Fire Department, and Sanibel Island Fire Department as their fire chaplain. I'm retired from Bonita Springs Fire Department, where I served as fire marshal and retired a few years ago. Allowed me to go into full-time ministry and to pick up the work of the chaplaincy. And now I am Master Chaplain and an Instructor 3 for the Federation of Fire Chaplains. So we're going to be looking at the personhood of the fire chaplain today. We've talked a lot on previous episodes about who the chaplain is, who they represent, where the authority comes from, and now I want to kind of dive into looking at who the chaplain is. So this episode may be shorter than some of the others, but I want to cover a very specific subset of aspects of the fire chaplain, the personhood of the chaplain. You know, we have to remember who we represent. You know, we represent first and foremost God Almighty. He is the one who has called us into this ministry of service to serve those who serve others. So we represent God. We also represent the fire chief of our fire department. We serve at the pleasure of and under the authority of the fire chief. And then as that's extended down to an incident commander of a particular call that we might be on or associated with. We also represent our church. Those of you that are fire chaplains that serve as a local pastor, you represent your church. You may also represent your denomination. And that's not just for pastors either. If you're a firefighter, lieutenant, captain, fire marshal, assistant chief, and filling the role of chaplain, you also represent God. You also represent the fire chief. You also represent your church, because your church is the one who has probably given you the ecclesiastical endorsement or the go-ahead and the authority to represent them as well in your community as a fire chaplain. Some may receive that blessing from their denomination. And also, we represent other fire chaplains. So we want to do a good job because that reflects on other fire chaplains. And, you know, if a department had a bad experience with a chaplain previously, you might have a tough time walking into that role because maybe they're not so sure about having a fire chaplain again. So because of an experience they had before. So also, the town next door might have had a chaplain that wasn't in it for the right reason, and maybe they had a bad taste in their mouth. So just know that we represent other chaplains. We are members of that department that we serve, so we represent the firefighters as well. We're going to be wearing the same uniform that they do, a polo shirt, maybe a shirt with a patch on, or a ball cap, or whatever other uniform they give, maybe turnout gear if you're actually going to be entering a hot zone and you're allowed to serve in that capacity in that location. So we're representing firefighters. Another group that we're representing is our community. If you're a local pastor and you're blessed and called to be the chaplain of a particular town's fire department, you're going to be representing that community too. You may be asked by the fire chief to deliver a speech or make an appearance in his stead if he's not able to make it, or if he would just like you to represent the department for that particular lunch meeting or dinner meeting or civic group meeting where you're able to represent the fire chief as well. So, you represent all those, that you represent God, your fire department, your church, your denomination, other fire chaplains, importantly, firefighters, and you are representing your community as well. So it's a big responsibility. It's a huge job. It's an honor. It's a privilege to be chosen as a fire chaplain. So we want to look at how we should be as a fire chaplain. So I want to look at some of the personhood issues of a chaplain. And first, if you're taking notes, is the demeanor of a fire chaplain. I mean, just how does a fire chaplain present him or herself? How does he or she carry themselves into the fire station? Are they aloof, or are they too serious, or do you come in level-headed? So we want to look at those demeanor things of just how you carry yourself as a fire chaplain. You don't want to be the bull in the china shop, and you don't want to be the weak and timid looking one. We just want to carry ourselves with dignity and the authority that has been given to us, because authority's been given to us by God. Authority has been given to us by the fire chief and the fire commissioners, or whatever the political makeup is of the organization. And we've been given authority by those in the fire department who allow us to speak into their lives. So we have to be careful about our demeanor, that we have an approachable demeanor, that we have a sensible demeanor, that we're the one that people want to be around, that when the chaplain comes to the fire station, everybody's not scattering like cockroaches in a fire to get away from the chaplain. We want to be that person who others are drawn to. So our demeanor is important. What's also important, number two, is our character. I mean, what is our reputation in the community? Are we known as a leader? Are we known as someone that can be relied upon, that is, again, approachable? Or do we have a bad reputation? So hopefully we have had the good reputation. We have earned a reputation. We have built a reputation, and that's one of the reasons why we were selected to be the chaplain of the fire department in our community. We also want to watch out for stereotypes, and this is probably directed more towards the local pastor. I've been blessed. I had a 35-year plus career in the fire service. Started out as a firefighter, and then got education in fire prevention matters and fire science and technology, and moved into the fire prevention realm, where I spent the majority of my career in fire prevention as a fire inspector, and then as a fire plans examiner, and then ultimately promoting to a chief officer position as a fire marshal of Bonita Springs Fire Department. Served a number of years in that capacity. So when I came in as a pastor after I retired from the fire department, I came in with a little bit more credibility because I had been in the fire service for so many years. I had seen a lot of the things that they had seen. I spoke the same language. I shared their culture, the fire culture, and we'll in another episode talk about fire culture and the unique fire culture that is the fire service. So right now when I talk about stereotype, I'm talking about you local pastor that's not had any experience in fire service matters, and what is the stereotype that you may or may not bring as a chaplain, is always in a three-piece suit, or you're coming in and you have a 10-pound Bible in your hand coming to the fire station. Well, or maybe you have in your language just the these and the thous, and so we want to watch out for stereotypes, that we don't fall into a particular stereotype, and that we aren't seen as the super hyper religious figure. We have faith, of course, And we do have a church. You may be a pastor, you may have a way of talking that you talk to your congregation, but I think that to be a successful chaplain, you might, and we'll talk about fire service language and not bad language, but just the language that they speak and the lexicon that they use that is different. When you will speak differently, I think, to your local congregation than you would when you walk into a fire station. And that may not make a lot of sense right now, but as we get into fire service culture and how we relate to fire service personnel based on their characteristics and based on their traits, maybe a lot of that will become clearer in future episodes. So another aspect of the personhood of the fire chaplain is the voice, your voice. Is it a voice of reason? Is it a voice of calm? Is it a voice of steady? Is it a loud, boisterous voice that you're the one that's always heard above everybody else, or because that's just you have a projection in your voice? So we want to be even keeled. We want to is your voice excited or excitable because of what may be going on around you? Remember, the fire chaplain is the peace, bringing the peace that passes all understanding into a situation. I'll tell you, if the chaplain's freaked out, everybody's going to be freaked out. So we have to, we know as our heart rate rises, as adrenaline starts flowing, our voices tend to get a little higher and the higher pitched, and we talk a little bit faster. So we have to know that when we speak as one with authority, the same as Christ was known how to speak, as one with authority. They just recognized him by his voice, the way he talked, and the manner in which he talked, and the authority with which he talked. So voice is important in our aspect of being a fire chaplain. The next, if you're taking notes, is trustworthiness. What is your reputation? If you say that you're going to get back to somebody in a day or so, then you need to get back to somebody in a day or so. We don't want to make promises that we can't keep, because if we do that, we will be seen as untrustworthy. So I want to be able to speak with confidence that, if I tell somebody, I got a good book for you to read and I'm going to provide it for you and I'm going to get it for you, that you actually do provided. If you say you're going to meet with somebody at 3, then be there at 3, not 3:15. So I think in trustworthiness also speaks to our ability to keep confidences, that we will be ones who have gained a reputation for being trustworthy with confidential information that's given to us, because you're going to be privy to information that not everyone else knows about, and that's by design. If there's a firefighter that's struggling in a marriage, I want them to be comfortable enough with me to come and talk to me about the struggles that they're having. If they're having drug or alcohol issues, that I would be someone that they could feel comfortable enough and know that I will hold their trust and confidence in helping them deal with whatever situation's coming their way. Because we may deal with crisis victim ministry, but the majority of the time we're going to be developing relationships with our fire service personnel. So we need to be especially careful that we build those relationships, that we build that trust. And it only comes by getting to know our fire crews. So we'll talk about making station visits and all that in another episode, but it's all about relationship. And the stronger the relationship you have with your fire service personnel, the more trustworthy you are going to be seen. And then as you keep confidences, you will be an asset to that department and not a liability. The people will be drawn towards you, and when you drive up, they won't be scattering and you won't be able to find anybody because they're hiding from you. We want to be the one that they're drawn to. All right? Okay, the next one, if you're taking notes, is reliability. We want to be firm and solid. We want to be men and women of our word. Our yes means yes, our no means no. And when we say that we're going to do something, we follow through. And if we promise to do something, we're actually going to do that. So we want to be reliable. Again, we want to be assets to our organizations, not liabilities. The next one and the last one I'm going to touch with on this particular episode in this video is physical fitness. Are you physically able to do the job that you're called to do with being a fire chaplain? Or if you are just a ceremonial figurehead and all you're doing is praying for people now and again, then you know what? Maybe you don't have to be in as great a shape as a firefighter is. But I would say that we're going to talk about self-care in future episodes, and we want to keep ourselves physically fit. Our bodies, my Bible tells me, and being an evangelical Christian pastor and a fire chaplain, my body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, so I need to treat it that way. I need to take care of myself. In the last year, I've taken off 15 pounds. Why? Well, I was having trouble fitting into my pants. I wasn't even feeling very good as I was putting more weight on. And I know that as I carried additional weight, that's guess what? That's gonna take years off my life. And I've got adult children, and I'm looking forward to seeing them get married and seeing grandchildren and all that. And the only way that I'm going to be able to do that is if I can stay healthy myself. So we need to make sure that we're eating right, that we're exercising right, that we're spending time with self-care, and that we are taking care of these bodies that we have been given. Because if we're not physically able to do much, then again, we're not going to be able to offer much to the fire departments that we serve. So we want to be fit. And I'm not saying you have to be a CrossFit trainer to be a fire chaplain, but it's important. It's important for us to set the example. It's going to be important for us to be physically fit because we're going to be encouraging our fire crews to be physically fit. There's a sad statistic in the fire service right now that 70% of firefighters are technically obese. Now that's incredible, and there's different reasons of why that is. Lack of self-care, lack of training, the stresses that are imposed upon a firefighter are immense, and they have physiological and anatomical reactions to those stress hormones and all those things, and the body storing fat, and so there's a number of different factors. But if we're doing what we're doing as chaplains, one of the things that we're going to do is encourage them to be as physically fit as possible, and then we need to set an example too, that we shouldn't let ourselves go, that our appearance is always professional, that we're taking care of ourselves, that we're well groomed, and that we're practicing what we preach, so to say. So those are a number of the aspects of the personhood of the fire chaplain. We want to make sure that our demeanor is right. We want to make sure that we're men and women of strong character, that we're not falling into stereotypes, that we're not the overbearing Bible thumping preacher coming, because I guarantee you it's not going to happen at a fire station. If you think that that's what you're going to do, that you're going to walk into a fire station and say, hey, crews, let's sit down and have a Bible study right now, you're probably not going to have that much success. You will have some, because there are some firefighters that have faith, but you know what? You're walking into their world. You're walking into their house. They spend 24 hours a day on and then 48 off. There's other shift arrangements, but typically it's 1 day on, 2 days off. So when you walk into their house, which they consider it their house, and sitting at their dining room table, it is an honor and a privilege to be able to sit at that table and to have conversations with those men and women, brave men and women in our fire service, who are doing a tremendous job. So we want to be trustworthy. We want to be reliable. They count on each other. They are training day and night. You walk in and they're doing tying knots, and they'll be tying knots for hours. And you think, why are they doing that? They do it for 5 minutes and you got it. No, they want to practice enough so that they could do it blindfolded. They want to be able to do knots so they could tie a knot behind their back if they had to, because they may have to tie a rescue knot in complete darkness in a smoke charged room. So we want to be reliable as well. We want to be as reliable to them as they are to each other and to their job. And again, the only way they're going to do that is by being physically fit. So we need to be physically fit as well. We need to have an exercise regimen. Get an Airdyne exercise bike and ride it for 15 minutes a day. Get your cardio rate up. Make sure you're spending time in God's Word. Make sure you're spending time meditating. Make sure you're doing those things. Make sure you're hydrating. Make sure that you're eating well-balanced meals, doing everything that you possibly can to stay physically fit. If you have a habit like smoking, and I'm not picking on smokers, I'm a reformed smoker, and they say reformed smokers are the worst. Maybe that's something that you would want to reduce or cut out of your life. And we're going to be encouraging fire service personnel to use healthy coping mechanisms when dealing with stress. Unhealthy mechanisms are things like alcohol and drugs. So we want to make sure that we don't have those vices as well, that we would abuse alcohol or pills or anything like that. So just want to be an encouragement to you. Again, these videos that I'm presenting here and audios later for podcast, they're designed to be training tools to help us be the best fire chaplains that we can possibly be. So I want to thank you. And also, let me give you some information here right now. Again, my name is Mark Goodman. I'm the Executive Director of FD Chaplain Services, Inc. My phone number's right there. You can call me anytime. You can text message me. My email is right there, chaplainfd@gmail.com. Just to let you know some things that are going on right now. FD Chaplain Services has a Facebook page, and I've talked with other chaplains, and we're using the FD Chaplain Services page as a platform to share ideas with each other, to share struggles, to share things that are working, maybe not working, just a platform where we can discuss things and get to know each other. So I would say look up me personally on my Facebook page, look up FD Chaplain Services Facebook page. If you go to fdchaplainservices.com, you will find out about my organization. We are a 501c3, so we're able to accept donations and offer tax deductible letters at the end of the year for contributions. So your contributions are deductible through your 1040 filing, and we're training chaplains. So far, I think the website still says 80, but we're up to 99 fire chaplains that have been trained to the Essentials of Fire Chaplaincy course. It's a 2-day, 16-hour. It's required to be done in person, so they're done all over the country. I've taught the class all over the state of Florida and up in Pennsylvania, Lebanon County Fire Training Academy. In fact, I'm going to be up there again in August of this year, 2020. So if you're in that area, I'd encourage you to sign up for that course. And it's one of the requirements to be a member chaplain of the Federation of Fire Chaplains. One is that you have been designated by your fire chief as a fire chaplain for your fire agency. The second is an ecclesiastical endorsement, which is a letter from your pastor or denomination accepting you in that role and saying that you are appropriate for that role and can serve in that capacity. And then the third requirement is the 2-day 16-hour class, and you can get that all over the country. Like I say, I do it in Florida and Pennsylvania quite extensively. So another thing that we're doing right now is on Thursday nights, we're having a National Fire Chaplain Zoom meeting. The Zoom meeting, just go to zoom.us, and if you will email me or text me, I will give you the meeting room ID number, and I say invite anybody you want to, and just don't do it on social media. Don't put the meeting room ID on social media. We're just trying to keep security and keep from being Zoom bombed with any inappropriate material like we're hearing is happening these days because of the extensive use of Zoom through this coronavirus pandemic that we're in the midst of right now. So I would say, we got a really cool challenge coin here too. You can see that up there. And I would say go to fdchaplainservices.com, and if you make a donation of any amount, I will go ahead and I will send you a challenge coin from FD Chaplain Services. Our motto is reaching in, reaching out. That's the name of this program. If you would please, if you would like this program, if you would share this program, and if you would subscribe to this program, then you will see when future episodes become available. Like I say, this is episode number 4, I believe, and I just want to thank you again, and I want to be an encouragement to you in your endeavor to be a fire chaplain. You've been called by God to do it. This is watching these videos and taking other courses from like emergencychaplains.org or FD Chaplain Services Inc. or through the Federation of Fire Chaplains, CISM courses, some of the national courses, the ICS series courses, so that you'll understand incident command. All of these things will give you credibility and information and knowledge. And the wisdom, you're going to get the wisdom from listening to others who have been chaplains for a while, who can tell you things that worked and things that didn't work. And also we're going to do a lot of that on future episodes here. I'll probably have an episode strictly on the subject of what not to say when you're dealing with a crisis victim in that horrific situation that they may be experiencing. So I want to just leave you and say be blessed and be a blessing to someone else, and just be the best chaplain you can be. And take care, and God bless. See you next time.